Hello there. Welcome to Talking BALEARICS with me, Martin, Makepeace and Ep4.
And me, Richie Pryor in Mallorca. Hello, Mark. How are you?
Hello, Richie. Can I tell you one thing, Rich, straight away? When
Go on.
you told me last week that you wanted to include floods in your little list, I didn't quite understand, and I was like, "What the heck is he putting that in there for?" But I've got to say, mate, you've got a crystal ball there, haven't you? I think.
Well, yeah, not a very well, say not a pleasing crystal ball. Let's put it like
No,
that, Mark. It's been awful, isn't it? Yeah, Valencia's been hit really bad.
it's been terrible, Richie, and I really want to speak about it today because I want to talk about the weather. I know this is a very English or British thing to do, but I don't think we can let it go by, can we?
No, I agree. And funny enough, I know we talked about this earlier, but there's something I want to correct also that we talked about last week too. So,
Yeah.
you go ahead, Mark? Go on.
Well, no, I want to talk about the weather because I've just come back from the Valencia region. I've been speaking to a lot of Valencianos over there as well. So I kind of misjudged the situation. I've got to say, I misjudged it a little bit as well. I want to talk about the King's visit and obviously Pedro Sanchez's visit to Valencia as well there. And also we'll touch briefly on the world travel market and heroes. And I think we all know who the heroes are going to be and the villains are going to be, but we'll touch on that as well. What about you, Rich?
Well, yeah, as I said earlier, I want to sort of touch on something that I talked about last week, which was involving the floods. Something I want to correct, which I think you and maybe the listener will find surprising to something that I did quote last week because I got it wrong.
Yep. Okay.
Which is unlike me. You know, I like to do my research. And
Yep.
also, I want to talk about air passenger duty because it was the budget last week, and
Yep.
everybody's been dancing in the streets because there's a penny off a pint.
Yep.
Um, but air passenger duty has gone up, and I think that's something that could affect us going into next year. So let's head on that as well.
Okay,
So
Richie, you fire away, mate. Come on, because obviously you're the one who broke it last week, and I mean that in the nicest possible way. And I know we got a bit of pushback on social media because I think people thought that we were kind of jumping on the bandwagon, but we weren't. You came up with a really good thing, which I'd never thought of, and unfortunately, 4 or 5 hours later, we were faced with the worst floods in recent history.
Yeah, it's been awful, Mark. It's not nice, but I did blog about it at the weekend as well. And funny enough, I've actually updated the same blog because of all the more information I've been able
Yeah.
to sort of garner over the last few days. This takes me back to 2018 in San Lorenzo, where 13 people died in a similar circumstance. Obviously, not on the scale that it was in Valencia, but it was a similar scale as far as the water terms are concerned. But I did say that I thought that the government had spent €4.5 billion on actually helping the situation in San Lorenzo and the surrounding areas. But in fact, I was wrong. I managed to find a report from Ep4, which is obviously our television station for the Balearics. And they said that the government will invest €40 million in the improvement of the Ses Blanes and Sablanquera torrents in San Lorenzo de Cardassa. The first steps were to commission the drafting of the project, and the works are expected to begin in 2027.
Wow.
Believe it or not.
Wow.
That's 9 years after the first flooding took place. So it's not a great
Wow.
situation.
Do you think this might just kind of speed up the process, Rich? I mean, is there any kind of pushback from the Mallorquins about it?
Well, I don't know if you know, but I live in a place called Santa Ponsa. Right next door is a place called El Toro, and El Toro has a big Valencian population. A lot of people have holiday homes here from Valencia, or they've moved over from Valencia. So we've had a big push towards sending help to Valencia from this area, also down in the Port Adriano, which is where I'm from as well.
Yeah.
So that's been good. But I think I was also talking about last week about this SMS early warning system, which
Well,
was apparently
that was the whole point of your kind of piece last week, wasn't it? Just saying an early warning system it needs to get out there especially because everyone's got a smartphone these days, haven't they? So why isn't it out there?
Well, apparently the SMS system was working in Valencia. There was a warning sent out,
Right.
but it was
Was it to stay inside though?
Yes, it was. It was to
Yeah,
stay inside your home,
yeah.
this happened at a time when I think it was probably about rush hour, and I'm hearing that that one of the major roads was cut off. I don't know if you've seen some of the videos, but
Oh,
it's
horrendous, mate.
obvious.
I've never, I've got to say, I've never seen anything like it. I mean, we've lived in Spain between us nearly, what, 70 years between us, and I've never seen anything like the cars piled up one after other. I mean, it just shows you the devastation that's been involved in that flood there as well. But it really took my breath away. And talking to the Valencianos over the weekend as well, they're angry, Rich. I mean, really angry.
But I think we've seen that, haven't we, with the visit of the royal family, which I
Yeah.
thought was a bit of a shame that the royal family got the rough end of the stick. To be honest with you, because I don't really see that they're to blame for what's gone on here. I think it's the government, of course,
Yeah.
and so and you know, I think the royal family to go was brave to begin with, but if they hadn't have gone, would they have still got stick anyway? I think they were between a rock and a hard place there.
Well,
Do you know what I mean?
I think they were ill-advised to go in the first place because it was too soon, and they were looking to vent their anger on somebody, and it had to be someone in authority. And there's no bigger person in authority than the king. I think it was a shame because I think the king and the queen are good servants to Spain, but I think
agree.
also it's going to be a bit of a wake-up call, I think, for the Spanish government now as well, because basically Sanchez. I mean, I was looking at some videos yesterday, and they're saying that still some of those villages haven't had any assistance either. Now we're nearly a week on, Rich. I mean, it's really is, and we're talking third world. It's all. Can you remember? Was it Hurricane Katrina? Was it in the United States when those horror stories were coming out of the United States? It's pretty much like that. And I was talking
New
to some.
Orleans, yeah, that's
Was it
right.
New
It was New
Orleans? Yeah,
Orleans. Yeah, yeah.
and I was talking to some kind of Valencianos about, it, and they were telling me that Valencia, the actual city centre was untouched. It's these three or four pueblos, villages outside Valencia with the big torrents on. Obviously,
Mm.
there's houses built next to the torrents now. There's concretes everywhere, which means the water's not. They've got nowhere to go apart than onto the concrete as well. I think it's bad town planning. I think it's an overpopulation situation as well, where they're just building houses and houses, a bit like floodplains in the UK, where they go, we can't believe our house is flooded. When you go, well, you built it, the house is actually built on a floodplain. I think it's just,
Mm.
I think it's a culmination of everything, but it's a real wake up call for the Spanish government, and it's been tragic to see.
Well, it's well known that Valencia and Catalonia are on the sort of what you would call the flood area. That would be the area because it's on the coastline. It's right by the Mediterranean Sea. And this was a phenomenon called the Dana phenomenon. If you've
Yeah, the
heard of
Donny.
this,
You know what? I'd never heard
no,
of it until last week.
me
And
neither.
it's amazing that these things we learn every day, don't we? Living in Spain, but I'd
Yeah,
never heard of Dana, and it was everywhere. And I'm thinking, I mean, I like the actual literal translation says it all, doesn't it?
no, yeah, exactly. So unfortunately, listen, like most things, it takes an unfortunate thing to happen in order that the authorities will actually do something about it. Do you know what I mean? And over 200 people right now that we know of have lost their lives, and for what really? There could have been better things done beforehand, I think.
Now, with a kind of risk of being controversial, Rich, is weather getting worse, or have we got more cameras on what's happening? Okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate here because someone was telling me the other day saying, "Oh, it's the worst weather ever." I remember some storms in the mid '90s where we were literally swimming in the streets. Okay, we're talking up to our waist, but the difference was there was no cameras there. Um, and I think social media now is hyped it all up. And I saw online there someone said there's 1,000 deaths. There's not 1,000 deaths. There's 240. Is it 217? I think at the moment, and it will rise. And we all know it's going to rise a little bit. But I think the over speculation and the online kind of conspiracy theories is not helping anybody whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, let's say that even one death is bad. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah.
Let alone 200. But listen, me and my wife were talking about this the other day. Sonferrer, which is the town the next town to me as I drive down towards Magaluf, was cut off. And she said to me, "Well, it's always cut off. Every time it
Yeah,
rains,
no,
it gets cut off."
right, right. I've got a bit of a story. So, we went to at a place called Albir over the weekend. We're supposed to play the cricket championship, the national
Yeah.
championship. We got a call on Thursday. everything's been national mourning, which we fully accept. We're fully supportive of it as well. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, our cricket weekend has been cancelled. We decided to go because it's all booked and paid for in advance. So we're like, well, we'll go over and we spoke to friends. Yeah, no problem. We went over there. Sunday we played cricket. We came off. We had a very quick game of cricket. We kind of did it as a bit of a. We had nothing else to do. A bit of respect for everybody. We played cricket. We came off. It absolutely chucked it down for an hour, Rich. I mean, one of those storms where it really comes down. Okay, didn't think anything of it, and then I get a call from friends saying, "Oh, Benidorm's flooded. It's flooded over there as well." Yes, it had, Rich, but for literally 40 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
And it all washes away, doesn't it? You know what it's like over
Yeah.
here. It comes and it washes away. So all of a sudden, everyone's panicking again because they've seen the videos online. Oh, it's another Dana, it's another storm. But literally lasted 40 minutes, and it washed away within about half an hour. I think that's the difference between a storm like we normally have over here and something that happened in Valencia last week.
Yeah, exactly. This happens in Magaluf as well. Magaluf always floods when it rains, and you get the pictures of the guys liloing down the Punta Ballena, do you know what I mean? Laughing and joking and everything else.
Yeah, of
It happens
course.
every time. It's the drainage is not good here.
No, it
We're
never
not
is.
built
No, it never is.
because normally we don't get a lot of rain. That's the point.
In the rain, Ibiza's horrendous, Richie. Cars
Mm,
breaking down everywhere.
yeah,
Everything's flooded. All the tunnels are flooded as well. But it does
yeah,
pass very quickly. That's the difference. Um,
yeah.
it was interesting to see that directly. I think it was at the weekend we got an orange alert for the BALEARICS, didn't we?
Yeah, funny, my son got in the car today. I was picking him up from school, and he said, "Dad, we're going to apparently be on red alert this weekend." And I said, "Well, that's the first I've heard of it. I've seen there's rain forecast, definitely,
Yeah.
but I haven't seen a red alert warning yet." So,
Well, we get. I don't know, but we get. I'm on the local kind of. I'm a local WhatsApp group for weather as well, so I get the weather at least 3 or 4 times a day, and we get orange warnings quite regularly over here. Any storm is usually an orange warning, and
mm,
so it's no big deal. But unfortunately, this weekend our orange warning made the UK press because everyone was like, "Wow, this is really bad times." And did you see what happened in Barcelona yesterday? Was it yesterday or the day
yeah, I did.
before as well?
I
I
did
know.
similar thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
similar
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
What's the solution, Richie?
Well, the solution, obviously, if Valencia and Catalonia are areas that suffer from these things, then something needs to be done. Something needs to be, drainage or whatever it needs to be spent because it's not the problem's not going to go away.
No.
The global warming they say is part of this problem. And unfortunately, we haven't got to the end of that yet.
No.
So it's going to be a continuing problem, and it's a problem for governments to find the money right now. I suppose you know what I mean. But
Do you think this will
I think
bring
they're going
down
to have to.
Sanchez? Will it bring down Sanchez, the government? Do you think?
Well, I mean, of the opinion he should be gone anyway. To be honest with you, he's a coalition government propped up by God knows who. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And it's a coalition never works in any political wherever you are in the world. To be honest with you, a coalition never works in the UK. You know what I mean? It's
Not when he's
everybody's out for.
pandering. Not when he's pandering to the Catalan nationalists, anyway, because he that's what he's doing. I mean, it was interesting. Do you see the pictures of them kicking his car as he left? I mean, that's a real
Mm.
wake up call, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, and it could be that it could be the downfall of the government. But the problem is here. They work on proportional representation, don't they? And it's never the party that gets the most votes doesn't get in, unfortunately. So I don't know. Don't get me on politics. I
No,
can't.
well, listen. The thing is, we're here. We're here to inform people about Balearic politics. So, how can you sum up Balearic politics in one sentence?
I don't think I can use the word on a live podcast. Well, I
Uh,
could because it's a podcast, but I'm not going to.
I'm going to say top heavy.
Yeah, that's 2 words.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, one sentence, top heavy. There you go. Hyphen. Okay, mate.
Yeah.
Tell me what else you got, Richie.
Well, air passenger duty.
Yeah, I've got one. I've got one about this as well. Go on. This is interesting.
Well, there was a report from Michael O'Leary who said, listen, you sometimes take what Michael O'Leary says with a pinch of salt because obviously he is the man that owns Ryanair and any increase in taxes, he's only going to pass on to the customer. That's what they do. So it'll be another fiver on your seat to choose your seat and another fiver on your suitcase and God knows what else they can, pay for you to go to the loo if they want. So he's citing a strain on families and the economy, he says, and he criticised the UK government's air passenger duty increase. So it's basically a tax on flying, isn't it? That they've increased the government. I think it was about £2 per adult or something, which he'll just pass on, and he'll say that the non-profitable routes will get cut. I don't think he runs non-profitable routes. If the truth be known,
no, he doesn't.
And if he does, he cancels the flight and leaves you stranded.
Absolutely.
So
but I'm a big fan of Ryanair, Rich. I know this is going to be really controversial because everybody will, especially the Spanish. The Spanish hate Ryanair, right? Okay,
right.
Well, that's in my experience. Maybe we'll get some Spanish saying, "Oh no," because they like Iberia and British Airways. They like this kind of, being a little bit more comforted and whatever. But I'm a massive fan of Ryanair because it's Spain's number one airline at the moment for passengers. It basically connects the Balearic Islands with all over the world, Europe in the first instance, all over Spain as well. So I'm a massive fan of Ryanair. It's like getting on a bus. Get on a bus, sit down, put your headphones on, pay for a cup of tea, and 2 hours later you're there as well. But I think what Michael Leary said there is absolutely on the money, because it's not just a tax on the passengers, it's a tax on tourism as well. It makes tourism more expensive. And I think
that's true.
And we rely on tourism in the Balearics, and anything that makes tourism more expensive is I don't like it. Also, Richie, something that, do you know that I think Ibiza, I might be wrong here, but I think Ibiza or Mallorca are number 2 and 3 on the private jets in Europe these days. I think Nice is. I think Nice is first, because obviously you got Monte Carlo next door to it. I think Nice is first, and I believe Mallorca and Ibiza. If anyone's listening, they can correct me on it, but we're definitely up near the top. And you see that they've put on an extra £450 per passenger for private jets. Okay, I mean that's another tax on the rich. I think they should have put something on there, but I think £450 a man. Gosh, that is serious money, isn't it?
Yeah, Mark, come on. If you traveled, you probably have traveled on a private plane. I haven't. Yeah, there he goes. For the person who can't see him, he's nodding and smirking. So he has, and I haven't had the pleasure. Yeah. So if you can afford to travel on a private jet, you can afford another 450 quid. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
I think obviously yes, it's a tax, but the people can afford it. That doesn't mean it's right. I'm just saying it.
Well, I think we've got a definite split in the camp on this one, Richie. What I'm saying is, I don't blame them putting the price up at all. It's, of course, look where you can make a bit more money. But I thought 450 quid a man is a bit rich. Also, what's interesting is the anti-tourism groups over here. And I think in Mallorca are asking for a limit on private jets, and they're looking for. I don't think it was an all. I think one group wanted an all-out ban, and another one wanted a limit on it as well. So it kind of fuels the fire of that debate as well, doesn't it? So I think it jumps on top of that debate. I think the anti-tourism brigade will jump on it, and another thing, I don't think it's a benefit to the tourist industry whatsoever.
No, I'm in agreement. I do think it's our biggest industry. We've got to look after our industry. We have to look at the over tourism. I agree as well. There should be measures put in place, which I agree to. But when it's our biggest industry, we've got to look after it, and we've got to look after it well.
Yeah, we've got to, haven't we? Simple as that.
Yeah.
World Travel Market, Richie. What's your thoughts?
Trafford Market.
Yeah, Trafford. Yeah, sorry, buddy.
You got that on the brain.
Thinking about football as always, but Travel Market. I've just got the video through of the Ibiza stand. Okay.
Yeah.
I've got Paul Richie's a mutual friend of ours. Is my kind of spy in the camp today. Good Arsenal fan. Good friend of yours.
Big Arsenal fan. Yeah.
Big Arsenal fan. Big gooner. And he's the one who actually got me my tickets for the European Championships as well. So big shout out to Paul. He just sent me a video of the Ibiza stand, and I've got to say, it looks very professional. It's quite big. It's quite shiny, but they are insisting on putting up those traditional. They put those traditional videos of The one that he showed me was that they're making footwear. They're doing the traditional footwear, and they've got the traditional Ibicencan dancing and things like that as well. So, we persisted in that area all the time and I get it, push the low season, but I do think we're absolutely totally kind of sometimes we're a lack of creative ideas. You've got to mix it up. You can't just go for the old-fashioned dancing and the old-fashioned industries all the time, because I agree that is an important makeup of the islands. It's a very important makeup of Ibiza, but I think you have to give the audience what they want as well.
Well, is it then pandering to the over-tourism people? I don't know.
No, it's not. No, it's been like this for years. I remember once I can remember going in the mid-90s, and it was one desk and one wooden chair, and the only thing they had was the Falcon Trail about Ibiza. So, and it was like, that's the only thing they were interested in pushing, was the Falcon Trail. So I think, as we mentioned last week, they need to diversify. They want to look for sporting holidays, low season holidays, sporting holidays. Yes, I get that, but I'm still not sure what the message is.
Well, Margaret Brehens, I don't know if you know, Margaret Brehens cancelled her visit to the World Travel Market because of the problems in Valencia, which I thought was interesting, but possibly right in the circumstances. So she left it with her Minister for Tourism, Jaime Balza, to take all the meetings that she had organised. I'm part of the Hotel Federation media WhatsApp group, actually. So I know that they were in meetings. They met hoteliers in Valencia today. I know they had meetings with the big tour operators, the TUI and the Jet 2 of the world today.
Yeah.
So I think we need to sort of maybe talk about it next week once we digest what's come back from the World Travel Market, because you don't really hear much. I know there's a lot more in the press today than there was yesterday. Yesterday is more of a sort of pressy type day yesterday, and today is when all the delegates start arriving and doing their meetings, etc., don't they? So,
do you think we get value for money for setting up those 50 councillors over there, and all their friends and families as well? Do you think we get value?
No.
It was a loaded question, obviously.
I agree. Listen. I'm of the opinion that we have to be at these markets, because we know there are some political parties that say we should stop all advertising of promotion of tourism altogether, which is absolute rubbish. Should there be that amount of people go? Probably not. Could it be better done? Probably yes. But it's good that we're there. It's good that we're represented, and let's hope they come back with positive news for all our islands.
I think the press will be full of it this week. I know that the Diario de Ibiza, Diario de Mallorca are there, aren't they? So but
the Bulletin are there as well. So
the Bulletin there, so they'll be reporting back. I mean, I've been a few times, Rich, and I just end up getting drunk with my mates. To be fair, I don't really do anything over there. So it's quite. If you're paying for yourself, it's quite expensive. Few days away. So
if you go on the private jet, Mark, of course. Yeah.
Well, it depends. It depends who's offering the services at the time. Oh, funny. Did you were your lads' football games cancelled over the weekend?
They were cancelled over the weekend I think there was two reasons. One, obviously, for Valencia, because there were games that were played on Sunday. I don't know if it was
it was because we
Saturday.
We played the 3 days of mourning were Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday was back, because we played cricket on the Sunday. And I asked our team, I said, "Are you sure we can play?" Because there's no way on earth I wanted to go against that as well, because that really would have been bad karma. So funny, my son was on the bench for the first team on Friday, because we were playing on Friday because it was a bank holiday, wasn't it? On Friday, and he had a niggle, so he didn't get picked, and then the game got called off. So he was quite happy about that, to be honest. So, that's good. Very good. Heroes, villains, mate. Let's go. Hero.
Has to be the emergency services in Valencia, no?
Absolutely. There's some Ibicencos. A good friend of mine, Jorge Nacho, has gone over he's part of the BALEARICS rescue team. He's gone over as well. And I noticed a couple of young Ibicencan lads who were in the paper today. I didn't get their names, I'm afraid. They were there cleaning up in the streets. Anybody who's helping out in the Valencia region, and all the other regions here as well, you're our heroes of the week. And the villain?
Oh, who's the villain? Well, it could be Sanchez.
It's got to be Sanchez. It's not. It could be. It's got to be. Listen, I don't want to get too political, but I am not one fan of Sanchez at all. I think he's shown his true colours this time. When the country needed him, he was too busy negotiating with Catalan nationalists about keeping in power, and he hasn't done his job properly, in my opinion.
Well, that might work against him also if you think that Catalonia is part of this problem. It's Valencia and Catalonia where the flooding, they say, is going to be at its worst. And maybe this is just one thing too many.
Well, you've got the PP that run Valencia, don't they? And you've got a PSOE national government. So you've got the two of them are in the doghouse as well. So I think this is going to run and run. I think there are going to be repercussions, Richie, and we'll be here to watch them. That's for sure.
Okay.
Before you go, quick one. Who's going to win the big one in Washington?
Oh, do you know what? I've got some friends in America, and I have asked the same question, and everybody I spoke to said, "I hope it's not Trump."
Really?
So yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it's too close to call, isn't it?
I think so.
It depends who you listen to.
I'm a massive kind of current affairs person. I've been absolutely binging on it all week, and I've got a horrible feeling that Trump's just going to sneak over the line, mate. I'm afraid. But
well, if he doesn't, he'll claim foul, won't he? Anyway, so it's going to run and run, isn't it? Like most things do in America.
Yeah, so, yeah. I mean, for the greatest country in the world, or the so-called greatest, they don't half complicate things, don't they? God.
Yeah, totally. Well, let's see. Hopefully by next, will we know by next week? It takes a long time to do this counting in America, doesn't it?
Who knows, mate? Who knows? But if you're in America listening to this, stay safe. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Richie. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Mark. Take care. I'll speak to you next week.
Looking forward to it, and nice to see you for a change, rather than just holding your phone up into the air and not being able to see you. So
the sun is shining today as well, which is nice.
Have a good week, mate. Speak to you soon.
Take care.
Cheers, Rich.
Bye-bye.